We have an affordability crisis when it comes to housing here in the United States. I have 4 ideas I want to share with you guys today that at a bare minimum are going to help you lower your monthly payment. And best case scenario, you'll be living for free and maybe even making more money than you are now. These 4 ideas I'm going to share with you today are called mortgage hacks because they can help you lower your mortgage payment, if not reduce it to nothing. And in best case scenarios, you will actually be making more money than you were before. So how can you do that? Well, this is applicable to almost anyone that's looking to buy a home or who already owns a home. If you're a full-time investor, a part-time investor, or if you're just a homeowner looking to save money, it applies to you any which way as long as you're in the real estate game or getting into it. The first way to lower your monthly payment is to rent out any type of additional storage space, in particular garage space. If you have a garage in your house, or if you're looking to buy a home, consider buying one with a garage, not just to house your own car, but to rent it out to other people. Garage space is actually very valuable in the marketplace because people do not just use it to store vehicles, but they use it to store valuables, and they also can even use it to do business. I know people that are willing to rent garage space for several $100s, even up to thousands of dollars, because they actually run a business out of a garage. They needed to tint windows because that's the business that they're in. Or they need to store ATVs, quads, dirt bikes, or just a vintage car and they don't know where to go. Or a cheaper avenue is to go private instead of renting out a commercial space, which is more expensive. These are things that are real and you can do this. It doesn't take much to rent out your garage space. It may mean that you have one less space for yourself, but if you're bringing in a couple $100 a month, that means that you're paying $100 less on that mortgage payment. The second way you can lower your monthly payment is by renting out additional space in your home. This includes a basement area, extra rooms, or an in-law suite. You can rent out any of these things on a short-term, mid-term, or long-term basis. If you're gonna go short-term, you can just put pictures up on Airbnb and do it that way. If you're gonna do mid-term, you can do it on Airbnb, or you can do a lease month to month. And if you wanna do long-term, you can have the tenant sign a year lease. That's all up to you, but you have the flexibility and the ease to rent these spaces on Airbnb, FurnishedFinder.com, or even Facebook Marketplace and Zillow. There's a ton of avenues and options for you, and this is a great way you can bring in a couple of $100 to a couple of thousands of dollars to help subsidize your mortgage payment, if not eliminate it. And if you do have enough rooms, you can do what I did, where you have room rentals and make enough money that you cover your mortgage payment plus some, and that money is considered profit going into your pocket that you didn't have otherwise. The third way is to build or buy a house with an ADU, and that stands for accessory dwelling unit. This is basically a little apartment that's an accessory to your main house. And this is usually offset from the house, so it's private, detached. A lot of these ADUs are on top of garage spaces, or they're just separate apartments entirely. This is something great. If you have a detached garage, for instance, you may have the ability to build on top of that garage a small little studio, get some heat in there and general utilities, and that now becomes livable space which you can rent out. And not only that, when you go to sell the house in the future, the value of that property and that home has now become even more because it has that ADU. So the new buyer that comes to buy it realizes that they can rent that space out, and so that becomes more valuable, and they're willing to pay you a higher price for the home when you sell. It's a great option If you're looking to buy a home, look for one with an ADU, and if you already have one, see if there's space to build one. This last option is only a possibility because of a recent program that started here in November that has to do with multifamily housing, 2 to 4 units. You can put down as little as 5% on these units now if you're gonna live in it as your primary residence. Before, that was not possible. You needed 15, 20 to 25% down. But now that you can get in with a lower down payment, it becomes more affordable. And not only that, let's say you get a duplex, you live in one unit, you rent out the other, that's gonna cut your mortgage payment in half. When you move out into a new home, that space is now vacant. You can rent out both sides, and that's your first full investment property. It's a great avenue to get into it, and it's a great way to subsidize your mortgage. Now, since you stuck with me all the way to this point, I'm gonna give you a little bonus here at the end. This is basically all of the ideas combined into one. You can mix and match and accelerate your results, creating a great investment business for yourself with just one property. Let's say you have a house with a couple of rooms and you only need one. You want to rent out the other rooms to some tenants, you produce some income, and that helps to subsidize your mortgage payment. That's great, but that's one idea. Why don't we combine that idea with renting out garage space? Let's say the house has a 2-car garage that's detached from the house. I'm gonna rent out the garage space to some people that want to store their vehicles there for the winter season, and they're willing to pay me a couple $100 a month for it. That's some other additional income now that will help lower my payment, maybe even to zero at that point. And then let's say there is an ADU on top of the garage space, or I invest some money to build an ADU on top of the garage space, and it now becomes a 1-bed, 1-bath studio, and I rent that space out for $1,000 maybe. Now we're talking about combining 3 strategies into one, and most likely in that scenario, you have not only eliminated your mortgage payment, but you are making a profit as well while you're living there. And then one day you go to move out, you have the whole property vacant. That produces more income for you. And if you want, you can sell the property, and that property will be just that much more valuable because of all of the things that you created there while you were there. That's how you can combine 3 strategies into one. The 4th one, that multifamily, if you didn't want to do room rentals, you could have a duplex and you can have your privacy in one side and yet still rent out the other side. But look for that garage space. Look for that ADU or the ability to build an ADU. When you're looking to buy houses like this and you have this strategy in mind ahead of time, you can set yourself up for success. And this is something that a lot of people do not consider. They're looking at houses as a place to live in for themselves, and that's it. And that way is great when you are secure with your finances and you have the means. But if you're still trying to grow your wealth, get ahead, or you just want to save some money, look at all of these options as possibilities for yourself. Try to mix and match them and squeeze as much as you can out of that property, especially if it's your first one. Take advantage of those low down payment programs you can get into as a first-time home buyer. So there you have my 4 mortgage hacks. I hope it was of value. Go out there and do great things. It's all up to your imagination and creativity. I'm sure you have some ideas of your own. If you do, I'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the comments down below. And I wish you guys the best. I hope you will tune into the next video. Remember to keep going, keep learning, and keep grinding.